Welcome to The Power and the Pain, where your past isn't your prison.
It's the fuel for your purpose.
I'm Greg Pihs, combat veteran, NLP trainer, and your guide to turn trauma into triumph. This is The Power and the Pain. Let's go. Welcome back to The Power and the Pain. Today I brought some guests on. Last week I was by myself, and I've only connected with our guests today. Actually, I take that back. I connected with Rebekah. I'll introduce our guests in just a minute. I connected with Rebekah probably a little bit over a year ago, and uniquely enough, I heard about what they're doing, and we're going to share with you in a moment, about 4 years ago, because I had a friend that had an experience that just raved about their experience. And in the world that I'm in, listeners already know neuro-linguistic programming. What really caught my attention is what they're doing is they're using frequencies inside of with neural feedback. So I was very, very attracted to the idea of it. And maybe last week I went in and had my first experience, mind mapping. And today I want to talk a little bit about the program and what you guys do, and then hear a little bit of the story about how did it get started.
Sure.
So the program, for those that are wondering right now, because it's a little bit like, what are we talking about? It's Recalibrate, and it's using a system called Lens that is providing neurofeedback. And this is allowing, this is said by me, but this is allowing you to have a very comfortable experience to reset your neurology. So for those of you that are out there, listen to all the things that I share, all the things you can do, the work that can be done, and you're like, hey, I'm not even there. The water's here. I need to get my nose above the water. This is probably something that's going to be beneficial. So without further ado, today's guests are Rebekah and Jeremiah. Thank you guys for being on today.
Thank you. We appreciate you allowing us to come on board.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell me a little bit, how did I do explaining the program, Recalibrate?
Yeah, I did pretty well with that. The system, it is different than what traditional neurofeedback is.
Okay.
So with this system, you actually don't have to participate, essentially, in the process.
Quite literally, from my experience. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it sets it apart from traditional neurofeedback systems because all you're really having to do is just show up.
Yeah, I mean, they make you sit down too, but
yeah. You're able to sit down and you're able to, comfortably. But all you have to do is just show up and sit down. You don't have to believe in the process. You don't have to participate and be an active participant in it. But you do have to be willing to show up to an appointment, and be there and actually, wanting to experience a difference. And
I know for myself, I was with Rebekah, and the whole room is, obviously consciously set up. It's so relaxing. What I would equate this to, and it's like when I left, it would be the equivalency of I just had a massage. That's what I would equate this to.
Sure.
I just relaxed for about an hour, and I'm walking out, and I feel really refreshed, and I feel really good. Rebekah did a great job with setting up the room. There's no way I even consciously picked up on everything that was happening there, but with the frequencies, everything about the room, it was incredible how you had it set up. Rebekah, what got you started with Recalibrate?
Yeah. So in 2019, I was in a pretty low place, just kind of a culmination of a lot of big T, little t trauma over the course of my life. And at that point, I'd done a decade of therapy, and I just wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I read The Body Keeps the Score because I wanted to learn about trauma, and I learned, it's held somatically in the body. So I'm like, I'm done talking about the hard stuff. I need to move through it.
Let's go.
And so in The Body Keeps the Score, talks about neurofeedback. And then I read another book and it talked about neurofeedback. And then I went to this holistic health fair and there's a lecture on Lens specifically. asked a ton of questions and was just like, I want to give this a try. This is what I've been waiting for. And after doing all of the things, again, back to the whole, you show up and you receive. And that was just like, it can be that simple, you know? And so it really helped integrate the work that I had done, but on a visceral body, nervous system level, helped integrate brain and body and heart. And so it lifted the cloud of depression. At that time, I also tried medication for the first time after doing a genome to see which medication was going to work for me genetically. And when that cloud lifted, the medication people are like, oh, it was the medication. And the lens people are like, oh, it was the lens. And I was like, I don't care. I just feel better. Mm-hmm. But for me, I didn't want to be on medication forever. So I chose after a year to come off of the medication. And the lens helped me with that transition.
Let's go.
So it just helped me get to the root of some things and then move through it, especially with the body lens. So sometimes we put it on the body to help reboot areas that have held trauma, emotional trauma physically, or that has maybe become physical pain and things like that.
I commend you. This is just my personal opinion, but I commend you on, like, I again, opinions. I think when it comes to pharmaceuticals, I think that it is there. I have a belief that there's a place where, like, sometimes we are in that spot, like we need chemical balancing.
100%.
And I just am like just this firm believer on that, like, hey, if we need a crutch, let's not try to run a race. Let's use a crutch. Right. And then when the leg is strong enough, let's put the crutch down. It's just opinion, but I commend you on that. I think that's powerful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, please.
And, you know, there's so much stigma in my background around taking medication. That was a huge step. So that was a victory. But again, I wanted to use the right tool for the job, but also still honor intuitively, like, I am designed to heal. I can heal.
Right.
And I can manage this. I got a QEEG done. And there I learned about my brain. Like, when something hard happens in childhood, at a certain point, when that part of your brain is developing, that is joy and gladness, you can have this disposition to depression. Doesn't mean you are depressed. It does mean that there's kind of like a cavity to where when life comes and you feel overwhelmed, you might be more prone to falling back into that. So I'm just grateful for all the tools that help with depression. There are many, and just to get, feel like I'm not drowning anymore.
Yeah. Jeremiah, what got you into it?
Yeah, for me, I was introduced to lens therapy from my wife, actually. So I
said
Jeremiah.
Yeah,
Jeremiah, all of our listeners, thank you. I wanted to correct that. Thank you. Forgive me. Keep going.
Yeah, so I was introduced by my wife. My wife was in a bad accident quite a few years ago, and she was run off the highway, literally. And while she was driving, flipped the car and just experienced, a severe emotional and part of a physical trauma in that situation. And she was experiencing PTSD symptoms from that. Driving, she'd be on her car, and a car would zoom past her, and she'd tense up and freak out and have to pull over to the side of the road and cry and, call me, and she's in tears, and or I had to go over and actually pick her up and then figure out how to get the car later on because of that. So it was debilitating for her to an extent that it was just, for her, it was traumatizing. And so she was living through that and going to found therapy, to try and talk therapy through it, was experiencing EMDR therapy, which did help, but she still wasn't breaking through. And through some different course of events, through some employers that she had worked for, was introduced all of a sudden to this lens therapy. And she's like, okay, well, maybe this could help me. So she went. And within 5 or 6 sessions, all of a sudden we'd be driving and a car would zoom by and she wasn't freaking out anymore. Because I would literally watch my mirrors and say, all right, got a car about to pass us up really fast. And it would go, and she's like, thank you. Like, she needed a heads up. And then all of a sudden I stopped doing that, and a car would zoom by, and we could still carry on a conversation rather than her gripping the sides for a second, because out of the peripheral, something was going to hit her.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, it didn't hit me. I can come back down now again. So I saw all those subtle changes in her, which were amazing. And she continued that process. And then fast forward a couple of years later for me, in my practice as a massage therapist. And so that's by nature who I am and my career path for almost 20 years. I thought always been doing great. I am Mr. Calm, Mr. Relaxed. I bring everyone else into that state of just peace. And I was with a client and all of a sudden started feeling this weird thing within inside me, just bubbling up. And I let it pass. I'm like, I'm okay, I'm fine. Do some breathing techniques, and I'll be okay. Client went, and then it just started building up. It started here, lifting up, a little higher. Some of this anxiousness, don't know why. I'm doing fine. It was a great morning. And then all of a sudden, I'm with my second client for the morning, and I'm within 3 minutes of about starting the massage. And I stop this massage and I tell him, I'm having a personal emergency. I need you to take me to the emergency room. I think I'm having a heart attack. My lips are going tingly. My hands are going numb, going tingly, tunnel vision going in, out, cold sweats, hot sweats. And I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm about to have a heart attack. Wow. I need to get somewhere safe.
Yeah.
Because my office is on the second floor. How am I supposed to get downstairs?
Yeah.
So he literally jumps off the table, gets dressed, brings me down, helps me downstairs, gets me in the car, takes me to the emergency room, and my full body seizes on me. And I'm in full blown, I don't know what's going on. Doctors bring me in. They do all the tests, right? Like, Mr. Steinhauer, you're okay. You didn't have a stroke. You're not hit. You didn't have a heart attack. He puts his hand on my shoulder. Have you been stressed lately? When he did that, it hit. I'm like, I'm having a panic attack. Yeah. I'd never experienced that in my life. I thought panic attacks were similar, or having anxiety, anxiousness was similar to what I was familiar with, which was dealing with SAD, seasonal apprehensive disorder. I was familiar with that. And typically when you're feeling kind of low and you don't want to do things, it's in your best interest to push yourself through. Many times to push yourself through, go hang out with your friends, spend time with your loved ones. Because at the end of the day, you're like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I didn't just go into a corner, into my room, or into a dark place and just watch a movie, because that just kind of heightens that. You begin to find yourself doing that more and more and more. Mm-hmm. So I associated them like, oh, if you're anxious or having a panic attack, go spend some time with your loved ones. Mm-hmm. Get out, go with your friends, have a good time. You'll feel better. And I never realized the impact of, I can't. I physically can't. I can't get to that door. I have to stay inside. Or my body literally is collapsing in on itself to saying, no, we can't do this.
Right.
And so that was my first experience. And, my doctor's like, all right, we're about to give you something for that. And all of a sudden it was the biggest I don't care shot I've ever had in my life, with being hooked up to an IV. And it was like, wow, okay, this is what not caring feels like. Okay. Because I needed that in that moment. Mm-hmm. I needed that. Yeah. I needed that medical assistance to bring me down. And then after that, it's like, well, do you have any professionals you can check into? Talk therapy. We're going to give you a prescription for your anxiety, for your panic attacks. I'm like, I've never needed anything like this. And then all of a sudden, I needed. After that period of time, all of a sudden, every day, my alarm would wake me up in the morning. My heart's going a million miles an hour. I'm like, already? There's nothing to be anxious about. Why am I in this place? And my nervous system was just shot. I couldn't absorb anything. I couldn't decipher a mountain from a molehill anymore. Everything was up here. And I lived life like that, taking medication, to 1 to 3 of my pills, depending on what I needed that day to operate. And then I began to do some self-medication, as well, to help, because I didn't want to be on a medication prescribed, but doing self-medication through, say, gummies was more acceptable to me for that. And I did that for about 6 months. And then it hit me. My wife did this. She had this great therapy, and it took, 8 to 11 sessions for her to actually be like, I'm like calmed down and I'm doing okay again. And so I asked her, like, hey, what was that thing you did that helped you with the accident and stuff? What was that? She's like, oh, the lens thing? Like, yeah, that. And so I said, okay, give me the name of the place you went to. And it was a larger facility here in the greater Nashville area called Harmonized Brain Centers. And they were amazing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to try this thing because I don't want to be on medication. I can't be a slave to being a prisoner in my own mind or my own emotions and body. I've got to function. I've got to provide for my family. I've got to go to work. I've also got the persona, like, I'm Mr. Calm, and I need to kind of bring that back. And so had my first experience with the lens therapy. And after, for me, because it wasn't something that I really had dealt with on a lifelong basis, or it wasn't, for years, within, for me, a couple of sessions, all of a sudden I would come home and I'd grab my bag with my laundry in it and go towards the house typically and just get the laundry going. And the neighbors were outside. It's like, oh, hey, I don't want to say hi. I've spent all of my energy with my clients, my people. I'm burnt. I've got nothing left to give. I don't want to fake it anymore with them because I just don't have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, after a couple of sessions, my neighbors are outside and I grab my bag and like toss the bag near the front door. I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? How are you? It was just natural. I didn't have to fake it till I make it, kind of thing. And it was just a breath of fresh air. And it wasn't until later that night I realized it. Yeah. I didn't realize it in the moment. In the moment, all of a sudden, oh, they're there. I want to say hi. Haven't seen them in weeks because I basically imprisoned myself because I didn't have the emotional capacity to absorb anything that they were saying or their life, what's going on. I was so depleted and just done. But for me, it was just all of a sudden this life-giving peace that I hadn't experienced in a while. And so later on that night, we're at dinner with my wife and my son. I'm like, I spent time. And I thought about it. It's like, I didn't have to force it. It just became this natural thing that I was used to almost a year prior to all of that. And I felt normal again.
Yeah.
And it was a very liberating experience to all of a sudden, oh, I don't have to mentally think about it anymore. I don't have to draw up this extra energy that all of a sudden the reserves that I might reserve for my family, and I didn't have to draw that out. Now I had this extra just naturally again to give. So that was my first experience with that.
I think that, and then for all the listeners, like what's your thoughts on this? And then for the listeners, like I have this belief that I use the label, the word, our unconscious mind, just implying what we're not consciously paying attention to in the body. Like our unconscious mind will create those moments for us when we have neglected ourselves.
Yeah.
Like it will, like, hey, maybe we get a little nudge and we don't pay attention to it. And then it's like, I was talking to you, friend. Yeah. But listen for the listeners, if life is giving you a nudge or if life's giving you a little hug, like this is there for you. This is available for you. I wanted to highlight in that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, as people, coming to the realizations, we leak. There's this funny old 80s movie, Flight of the Navigator. And there's a scene with this, and that's this alien terrestrials, taking this kid as observation. And this kid's like, hey, I gotta go. He's like, you gotta go what? He's like, I gotta go leak. I gotta take a leak. And he gets out and whatever, uses the bathroom. And then the guy's like, the alien, they go somewhere. He's like, take me somewhere safe. So he drops the ship down into like the middle of the ocean. The kid's like, oh my gosh, does this leak? And he was like, I don't leak, you leak. It was just a funny thing because as people, we leak, emotionally, we leak physically. And so we take in food because we expel energy. Yeah. And we take in, a lot of emotional, relationships, circumstances around us, driving in our car and someone cutting us off. We leak emotionally. And so if we're not taking that time to defuse, if we're not taking that time to take in, and we're just in the grind of life, so many times, I'm part of that generation, I'm almost 45, so that 80s, 90s generation of like, okay, tuck your head down, plow forward. That you got to do what you got to do and just plow forward. Don't look up, just tuck in. And, that's it can be applicable in different parts of our life.
Correct, yeah.
But so many times we get stuck in that posture, plow forward, that we bruise. And then we don't realize how bruised we get from plowing forward and trying to take care of things, that we just begin to break down.
I love the we leak. Like the idea that I have the way we don't have a problem unless it's important for us to have a problem, and so when we put our head down and we get to that spot, then we can't go no further, and now we do have a problem. But a lot earlier, it wasn't a problem. It was just the human experience, and we get to take time for ourselves. We get to invest back in ourselves.
Yeah. There's so many times we forget to take care of ourselves. There's a vast majority of people we're caretakers. I think we're actually the ones that are the worst. But also being being a parent too, you give. There's a beautiful sculpture. And you've probably seen out of memes and throughout social media, but it's parents that are taking pieces of themselves to create this whole little person.
Yeah.
And then what's left, you've got these people, these adults, these parents that are then filled with little holes. And it's a beautiful piece that we're giving parts of ourselves to our kid. But I also believe that we're also regenerative.
Oh, yeah.
But if we are giving too many pieces of ourselves, we can regenerate enough to be whole again. And as caretakers and as parents or people that are in that industry of caretaking and listening to people, giving, we don't take the time to actually give to ourselves, to regenerate.
Well, I'm in this.
So many of us are, that all of a sudden, we don't have much left. I tell people in my own practice, that's we're going to give 100% of what we have to a situation. But if all we have is 30%, we're going to give what we have. But I'm only 30% of a person giving 100% of what that is. So what's going to happen to that? I'm going to get sick physically. Mm-hmm. Emotionally, I'm going to start breaking down. I'm not going to be able to differentiate a mountain from a molehill. I may become short. I may become angry. I may become depressed. All of these factors start to weigh in, and you can only hold it off so long. And so for me, I think for so long, I had just give. And I wasn't taking enough time to receive and be still, in those moments.
And, again, speaking to the listeners, like we all had that, like we're relating, like I'm sitting here relating. I'm like, are you talking to me? We're all relating. And then for the listeners that weren't aware before today, it can be as hard as showing up and sitting in Rebekah's chair to give back to yourself, being at Recalibrate. Because those moments, like when we're given, like I think it's a good thing to give, just my opinion. And then it's like, oh, I got to get my cup refilled. Oh, I'm busy, my day. Well, first of all, you're worth it.
Yeah.
But then also, like, did you guys know you could go sit in a chair and fill your cup?
Right. To make it that simple. And I think that's where we love the Lemons process, because it is that simple, and it doesn't take long, for that. The initial process, it's upwards 50, 60 minutes long of your day that you have to take out for yourself. After that, if time really is of a constraint, you can be in and out within 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. We reserve the settings to be about 30. The session will be 30 minutes long for that. But for people that are in that mindset of, I just need to get in and to get out, it can be done, for that. But we try to create an atmosphere where there's take a minute.
Right.
Don't forget to breathe.
Yeah.
Throughout the session, in the side of the sessions, we tell people, like, all right, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And just exhale. And then we're going to start. We're going to push the start button. Because so many people, we forget to take a deep breath. And all of a sudden you get someone that's taking a deep breath, they're like, oh, okay. I just took a deep breath for once in the whole day.
Well, let me challenge the listeners too, that for those, like, I've been there, right? You're in good company, but for those thinking, like, if we had the mindset of like, I got to get to this next thing, how quick is this going to get done? Yeah. I just offer the challenge of, what about the mindset of, I have to get to my lens. What if that was the next thing that had the attention?
Right.
Something's getting our attention. We're going somewhere. Like, what if we just make that tiny little shift and we become the priority?
Right.
Like the meeting that we're worried about after can be this meeting for you in the future.
Yeah, 100%. How many times you come across friends or loved ones, family, like, I gotta do this. Yeah. How long is this going to take?
Right.
We're so used to this, become a fast food society.
I always have to do the next thing, not with this. It's the next thing.
Right.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. It's just the fast food society mentality, and we just don't take enough time for self. One of the best things you can do for your loved ones is to take care of yourself. Powerful. Schedule in that time. Powerful. Because again, you want to give 100% of who you are. Why not give 100% of your potential? Right. For that then, because we're training down, for that. It's like, okay, yeah, the kids just need me. Okay, the kids need me. I've got to meet this. I've got the meeting to take care of. So now I'm grinding it out at work, for 10 hours a day. Work's going to be there the next day. And that's just the piece. There's always going to be something that's going to demand your time. Always. And the greatest investment you can make is to yourself and your self-care, so that you can operate and give 100% of yourself to your kids, to your work. Be focused. Is some of the reasons we have to work so many hours in a day is because we're not actually really focused, because we don't have the mental capacity to be focused. Yeah. We're so strained from that. If you could all of a sudden just sit in a chair for 30 minutes, every other week, and all of a sudden, like, I feel like I have more mental capacity now than I did before. Mm-hmm. Why not invest in that? And it's just a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. In order to do it.
Absolutely. How long when you had your experience with Lens, now was it pretty much immediately after you're like, I got to get this to other people, I got to share this?
Pretty much. Okay. Yeah, it was, I saw in my view, a desperate need, because I was desperate.
Yep.
It was a personal experience. And the place I was going to, they were busy. They had multiple rooms. The summertime, they were booked with kids of all ages because of the social constructs that have been forced on them now with technology. So they're experiencing stressors that they never experienced before. But I was going in there, and so I live in Spring Hill, have my office in Franklin. Their office was in South Nashville. And when I was going through that, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is almost stress-inducing getting there. Like I'm dealing all of a sudden with this anxiety, and having to drive that extra time going through that traffic in that area of town. It's like, okay, this is a lot for me. And there's for me, part of it, time getting there. I work full time, want to get back home to my kids, having to drive up there and then drive all the way back home. Was a lot. So I looked at that and said, okay, this is amazing. I've had a transformative experience, in my life. This literally changed my life. What do I need to do? To bring this more to the masses? I couldn't find anything in my local area. This was it. They're busy. They can't see everybody. For that. So there's people that are just not able to get in because of schedule conflicts. What do I need to do to bring this to my area? And in my office, I had a massage room that had been sitting empty for about a year. I wasn't able to find someone to get in there to do the time. And I was frustrated by that. And was doing interviews, going through the process, but couldn't find a fit, for that. And I just let it sit then. I was like, I'm done with the stress. I'm frustrated. I can't find anybody to do this. I'm just going to let it sit. So it literally sat empty for almost a year, which is occasionally used by one of my other massage therapists. Like all of a sudden it's like the light went off. Like, I've got a room. I've got this great space. It's like, oh, this could be perfect space for what this application is utilizing. It doesn't need to be a big facility. It also doesn't need to be, crammed into like a peanut shell. But I've got this room. And then all of a sudden the wheels started turning. You're like, okay, what do I need to do? I think I could do this. This is great. So I started digging into the process, contacting. I was like, okay, I saw, and inside of their room, I saw the amplifier that helps with the frequencies for that. And I saw the brand name on it. I was like, oh, let me look that up. And it was Oaks Labs, who's the creator. Len Oaks is actually the creator of the Lens software, the system. And I looked it up, and all of a sudden on their website, it said training. And I was like, training? You can do this. Okay. And I started looking through the process, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen because it helped me so much. I want to introduce it to my clients. I want to introduce it to my local area.
How long have you been full scale with Recalibrate in Franklin?
What are we, a year and a half in? Yeah, a year and a half in. So I had my transformative experience in 23. And then that was the fall. It was actually around Thanksgiving of 23, September through November is when I did my sessions. And then I started looking through the process, like, what do I need to do? And for me, it was kind of an immediate piece like this. It felt emergent. This needs to be brought out more to the masses. More people have to know about this thing. Because my wife had never heard about it until she was working at a facility that she went into kind of a business meeting, of other entrepreneurs and small businesses. Like, she was introduced to it there. Like, that's great, but why have I never heard about it beyond that? And then, so yeah, I need to bring this on board. So I looked at the training, looked at the protocols that they required to do it, and dove right in. I found that they had a training seminar happening in, what was that, May? in May of 24. And so I dove in.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so for all the listeners, like most of you are probably, I'm making a projection here, hearing about this for the first time yourselves. It's recent for me that, well, actually, I mean, still recent, but about 4 years ago was the first time I hear of its existence. Imagine how many people still don't know that this exists, that this is possible. Make sure you are sharing this with that person you've already thought of that would benefit from this so that they can at least know that this exists. Rebekah.
Yeah.
Let's bring you back in. So you've been with Jeremiah the whole time with Lens, is that with Recalibrate, is that correct?
Pretty soon after he started, yeah.
Awesome. And then how did you guys get to link up and be part of it?
So at the around about that time, for about 9 months, I would drive from Franklin to Clarksville to bring Lens to a lot of veterans up there. And for me, doing that every day, 48 hours a week, and then the 3-hour round trip drive, it was worth it because I was seeing what I call miracles in head injury and trauma and anxiety, depression, like all these amazing, and addiction. And it was worth it, and it was unsustainable for me personally to do that kind of schedule. And so I had a job closer, and I'm grateful for that. But my chiropractor, a few doors down from Jeremiah, was feeling my body, and she was like, "How's your job?" I was like, "Oh, it's fine."
It's fine. It's fine. That's
Still
no problem.
helping people, but very back end, which is necessary and useful. But for my soul, once you've hands-on seen the changes, I missed it. I missed that work. So she was like, she asked me again, "How's your job?" And she knows me really well. So I was like, "What's up?" And she's like, "Well, I heard through the grapevine. I know how much you love Lens," because I'd talk her ear off about it. She's like, "Jeremiah, a few doors down, is bringing Lens here to Franklin. You should call him." And I was like, "What?" Like, to have the opportunity to do Lens in my own backyard with a 10-minute commute versus a 3-hour commute every day. Like, yes, please. So.
Well, think about the stars aligned, if you will, like, oh, I have an empty office. Oh, I'm going to the chiropractor 2 doors down, and I love Lens, and just the way the stars aligned.
It was quite amazing. I was going through that determination process. How do I make this happen? And so, one of my clients is a licensed counselor, and so for Lens, you have to fall underneath that, for that process. You have to fall underneath the licensing of someone that's able to practice for that. And so I talked with her, like, this was part of the protocol, the process. Like, hey, would you be interested in being my director, for this new business I'm designing? Because this is what I need to bring this on board. And she's, like, hey, give me some time to think about it. And then we talked about it more and more. And she's like, I think I'm on board. Like, this is cool. And so I actually paid for her sessions to have experiences herself. Because at that time, I didn't have the training. I didn't have the equipment or any of that. I'm like, I need you to experience this first.
Experience it.
You got to experience this first before I can make this investment.
Good.
And build this business.
Good on
because I need that support for that.
Well, and also, like, and I'm just saying, like, I think, I don't know, give me your feedback, but for you to be able to, for her to have the experience, and then for you to evaluate, is she in the way I'm in?
100%. Anytime going into business, you have to be in alignment with someone, with direction and vision for that. And so she was. She's like, Beautiful. This is amazing. Like, I didn't know this existed outside of what I was doing. I've used neurofeedback. I have other therapists that use neurofeedback, and I send my clients to those people that need it traditionally for that setup. But I've never heard of this. This is amazing. And so she was all in.
Now, Rebekah, you probably had to, like, really convince her, right?
Twist her arm hard, for that. No, it's an amazing series of events for that. Just, it was God ordained, is what I kind of say, because he just opened the doors. And so talking with my client about that, and she's like, I think I'm into this. I'm full on board. And then it was within a couple of months, she was on board. I said, great, I'm going to do the training because I'm going to do this part-time then. I'll start stepping out of my job, my career path that was massage therapy, and move in to this new path. And that was the game plan. That was the business plan to do.
Yeah.
And so I was in that process, got my training, went through all the certification process and did that. Started developing this room and building this room, had a target date, like I'm thinking this time in July, mid-July is going to be this happening. And then all of a sudden I get an email out of the blue from this person, Rebekah, says, hi, my name's Rebekah. I've heard that you're bringing lens therapy to Franklin. I'm a licensed lens technician. I've got the X amount of 1,000 hours of sessions underneath my belt.
Wow.
I would love to be a part of this in any capacity. Not saying I want to be your person. In any capacity, I want to be a part of this.
Wow.
And I'm like, who is this person? How did they hear about this? And then like, okay, and go home, talk with my wife. I'm like, hey, you'll never believe what just happened today. This person reached out to asking me to be a lens technician. You know, she's like, are you ready for that? I'm like, I don't know. Are we ready for that? That wasn't the plan. I was just going to do it myself. And can we do this? She's like, I don't know. Look at it. Can we do it? I'm like, okay, let me figure things out. I said, okay. And so I thought about it. I talked to my director about it. I said, hey, this person's giving me an opportunity. Like, this is, like, I feel like it's like a God ordained thing. This is a gift horse. You don't say no to a gift horse, dropping you in the lap here. Like, I think we got to do this. Like, let's talk with this person. I think I need to talk with her at least. She's like, oh yeah, talk with him. Just talk with her at least. Conversation. Talked with you. All of a sudden, like, I think this is good. All right, I think I like you. I think this is great. Let me bring in a director on board because we all need to be on the same page. And we did. Said, we had a great conversation. I was like, this is really amazing. We hung up the phone. I talked with Michelle, who's our director, and she's like, Jeremiah, we got to bring her on board. She's amazing.
That's awesome.
And I said, my thoughts exactly. And so we did. And it just was a domino effect. And it happened fast, because I had gotten my training in May. I think we were introduced in June, sometime in June. And then, so we then got together like, okay, what are our protocols for doing this? What are we going to do? And we just sat together quite a few different times and created protocols, set up the design of the business. And then on our first day open was July 15th.
Wow.
And
that was fast.
It was quick. It was really quick. And she dug in, she was like, I'm in 100%. What do we need to do? It's like, all right, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
We need to network. And that's what it was, little by little, just digging in, applying that. And here we are a year and a half later. We're still doing great. The name's getting out there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Well, I think it's huge when you spoke about the veteran community.
Yeah.
That's huge for anyone listening. I mean, that's for those friends, family members you have that are veterans that are having those struggles, make sure that they know that this is possible. However you would quantify it, how many veterans did you work with? Not necessarily numerically, but like, a lot, or what did that look like?
Yes, it was when I was in Clarksville. That was, I'd say, probably 80% of my caseload there, and clients I got to serve. And though I wasn't in the military, I was in a relationship with someone who was, and just when you've walked through trauma, you just kind of the whole wounded healer kind of thing. Not that I'm the healer, I'm not, but just you can. I'm
No, go
not,
ahead.
but that you can, when you've walked through your own fire, you can help others as they walk through theirs because you've done your work to, to be there. So it's such a gift working for those who have served our country so bravely. And yet, thankfully now the VA covers lens.
Oh,
So
let's
that's
go.
new.
What?
So
Hold on.
for those listeners all over the country, like that's my understanding now is that
Wow.
the VA has approved lens neurofeedback.
Yeah.
And so you can check with them. If you're local, Centerstone, they have grants to cover 12 sessions.
Wow.
We at Recalibrate give free brain maps to
Yeah,
veterans
yeah.
and then a discounted rate thereafter. So I just love that. And, my clients are veterans, love that you don't have to talk about anything. You just show up and receive and let the nervous system get stuff out. And it's what I love because sometimes it's scary. But when the body heals trauma, especially with the lens, it's not re-traumatizing.
Yeah.
It might be a gentle wave of sadness, but it's there and then it's gone. Or it might be a dream. I've seen it transform nightmares into just dreams, but then dreams are so important because that's the subconscious releasing. So, or stomach gurgles or yawns or like the body releases in so many unique somatic ways that it's not re-traumatizing. It's actually just you feel better
Yeah.
and can take those deeper breaths because your body's just not stuck in fight, flight, freeze.
Well, and I thought about while you were talking, a moment ago, I said for the listeners, like friends, family, veterans that, that are having a struggle. Well, what if I also said, if you are a veteran, then that means you served in the military. And even if you don't think you have trauma, we get, the government invests quite a lot of money in programming or desensitizing us to certain situations. Mm-hmm. And then on the back end, there's not that amount of money for the reverse programming.
Right.
There's like a joke I tell. I remember when I got back from my second deployment, it was like, I think it was like October. And so we're getting our little post-deployment leave and we're going to be home for Thanksgiving. And we had to go to this like, whatever they called it, but like a class to like reprogram from war. Yeah. And so we went in this auditorium and like, sure they said more than this, but like it was a running joke. Bomb at the table when you're with your family. Like, thank you. Yeah. I'm ready now. Right. But so I just say that to say, like, if you served in the military, even if you do not have trauma, you don't have to. I'm saying like you don't even have to have trauma. Just that transition has an opportunity to be rough for some people, and this might be the thing that can really help smooth that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Again, one of the biggest pieces, you don't have to do anything. That's what's the beautiful about the lens process, and the design from the beginning, for that, is that you don't have to re-talk about something that was traumatic, stressful, emotional. You don't have to share. For once. Sharing can be a great thing. I tell people, these types of therapies, lens therapy, neurofeedback, for that, it's I would call it more like a prerequisite to talk therapy. Because at some point you do need to talk about something. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of, can you talk about it? Do you have the capacity to find the words to talk about it? Many of that times that's the struggle. I don't have the words. And we struggle with that. Like, I have the emotion behind the words, but the emotion's what's driving. And then the words that I do have aren't particularly kind, or they're not emotion controlled. And it helps you kind of find the framework to have it's not what you said, but how you said it. And that can be the equation, the game changer piece that says, okay, because now I'm not having the physical response of emotion to express my emotions. I can be upset or I can be sad, but I don't have to have that emotion leading the charge in front of what I'm saying. Therefore, what I actually said gets drowned out instead.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. I love that you highlighted it and how you said that. And in the beginning, I shared like, hey, this is like if the water's here, we got to get the water here. Yeah. I can relate I can just think back to my earlier chapters and think like, oh, I remember when the water was here. And so I can relate and understand some of us are in that place where like we know that we have to do the work and we have to do this, but it's like, no, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
I'm not working. I'm drowning. And in those situations, like I agree, it's very counterintuitive. It's not going to like trying to relive trauma while the water's here is not the answer. And for those, like, if you're in that situation right now, if you've been in that situation, if you know someone in that situation, this is that opportunity to get a life raft thrown out to you. Let's get above water. Let's get the neurology stabilized. And that's the experience I've had so far. Last week, again, for the listeners, was my first time. And I think, is it this week coming up? Mm-hmm. I'll be going in for my second session. But I love that you highlighted that, like, still go do the work. Once we're out, let's start jogging and working out.
Yeah,
good.
You got to work through. If you've experienced trauma, you need to work through it. You need to find healing. But it's hard to do when all you have is the emotion behind it.
100%.
And you don't have the words to express it.
People are feeling that right now. I know it.
I
don't think this is talked about enough, to be honest.
It's not. I don't think that it is. I'm that is not my background. I'm not a therapist, counselor, psychologist for that. I'm just a person that experienced a certain level, but it gave me a glimpse of what people have gone through. But I have family members that have gone through. My brother's a veteran, and thank you for your service for that.
Thank you.
But I've seen his struggle, with that emotionally, not having the words to appropriately express what you're feeling. And that doesn't have to be just from veterans themselves. It can be different first responders of all types. For that. It can be people that have experienced a severe traumatic event in their life. You no longer have those words to express what you need to say or need to get out. And it doesn't need to happen. Talk therapy is a powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah.
This is not replacing talk therapy at all. This is a helpmate to talk therapy. Like I said, I always call it's that prerequisite. It's a precursor to those things so that you can express those things and have the words instead of being in that fight, flight, freeze mode that's inhibiting you from doing it. And so all of a sudden, your therapy sessions are going almost at warp speed because now you can process.
Yeah.
You're taking things that they're saying to you, and it may not be combative. It may not be, you may not be armed about it. You can be receptive. And all of a sudden, wow, okay. And it may be subconscious. You don't even realize it's happening
Most of the time.
Most of the time, right? And so it's a beautiful tool to use in conjunction with that.
I like the word you use. I like the label capacity. Yeah. Until you have that capacity for talk therapy, it's not going to work. And some of us, I'm thinking back to some of my chapters, some of us are already sure that talk therapy doesn't work. Not when you don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
And this is something I liked when you again use that word. Like this is something that's going to create that capacity inside of your nervous system, and it's being. I think it's cool. Like I love holistic and a spiritual person. Also love science. Like this is scientifically like they're reading your frequencies. They're saying here's where we started and here's where we are. On a piece of paper, like look at it with your eyes. Obviously, you're going to go have the experience in your life, but it's pretty cool. I think my experiences, like I said, I'm spiritual, but I also like to let's see it. And this was really cool getting to see it.
Yeah, and that's I think that's what sets some of us apart. Because you do see there's the experiential part of it, because you are going to experience something from it. Whether you're a very self-aware person kind of determines some of that, but it's going to be either you recognizing, oh, I coped with that better than I thought I would. In many circumstances, it's going to be a loved one that's going to notice.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, they're handling this way better than I thought they would. They are a typical nervous flyer. The person gripping the chairs, they're moving around constantly. They're like, yeah, drink, please. I know everyone's just seated down, but when you've got the chance, bring that over, please. Because they're nervous, they're anxious, and they can't get out of their own head about what they're about to embark on. And I've seen people all of a sudden get to that situation, like, I'm oddly calm. I can be here. I don't feel the need for that drink. I don't feel the need for that vice, if you will, for that liquid courage.
Yeah.
I can, all of a sudden, I don't feel the need for it. Like, I'm okay. I think I'm okay. I'm okay. I think I'm okay. And all of a sudden, there's this confidence that builds back up to them. I had one of my friend and client that just went on a trip doing that exact same scenario. He's a nervous flyer, hates it. His wife, rags on him about it, like, oh my gosh, he's got to go through his routine of anxiousness, anxiety the full night before, not getting a good night's sleep, which enhances that, of course, then the next day. But we did a lens session on both of them before their big trip the next day. And they come back from the trip, and, she comes to see me, they're clients of mine for massage therapy as well. And okay, he did great. He wasn't his crazy self the night before. He had his routines, but he wasn't emotionally wound up doing the routines. He was calmer in it. Like, okay.
I think it's powerful. You said like a lot of times it's a loved one that sees it.
Yeah.
I love getting to work with people on unconscious behavioral patterns, and like what I take, because sometimes for some people, like, what's an unconscious behavioral pattern? I say, well, what's a habit you don't want to do? And okay, I smoke. Okay, do you not want to do it no more? Yeah. All right, you're done. Oh, but if tomorrow you smoke, why? Oh, you're unconsciously running this habit because you already said you didn't want to do it consciously.
Yeah.
So when the time comes, something has happened and past the conscious, I don't want to do this. Okay. If we shift an unconscious behavioral pattern, how are you aware it was shift? You are unconscious of it. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, when these unconscious behavioral patterns happen, it's usually someone tells us about it and we look back and we go, holy crap, I did do that different.
We get the,
this does work. Yeah.
Oh,
we weren't so sure when we were doing it. How are we so sure when we're not doing it?
Right.
But then when we get the feedback.
Yeah. And I think that's what's beautiful for that. It's a loved one. It's a passerby. It's it's someone that's in your world that all of a sudden, what's different today?
What's different? Something's different.
Something's different for you today. You doing okay? Did you get a good night's rest?
Yeah.
But we also encourage people that have experienced that, to get their loved one in as well.
Let's go.
Because it's not you that has just had a traumatic experience. It's your loved one that is walking through with you on that traumatic experience, whatever that might have been. For me, it was my wife with the driving, the accident for that, and her experiencing, for her, PTSD symptoms for that. Mm-hmm. But I was walking through her with that, and all of a sudden having to inconvenience my day to leave home, get in my car, drive around, go to the side of the road, pick her up, do that. I'm exerting my own energy. I'm giving her parts of myself to bring her down. What am I doing for myself in order to be whole again, or to alleviate those stressors for that? I'm picking up extra chores. I'm picking up extra this. I'm doing this. I'm walking on eggshells, in order to not light them off.
Yeah.
And so, it's the person, that's the target, it's the center of the target, that's the bullseye, and then you've got the outside of that too.
It reminds me of Virginia Satir, which her name may not be that familiar. She was a psychologist, really good with family therapy a while back. And she had a philosophy that she would only work with someone if she could work with every single member of the immediate family.
Yeah.
And she said that if I get this person healed, the rest of the family will be unconsciously sure to reset their trauma when they get home.
Yeah, sure.
But Virginia, Virginia did exceptional and has really helped form a lot that has come in the future. But if we lived during Virginia times, then we would have to go home and tell our person I just had this pretty scary opportunity with Virginia Satir, and I need you to have it too. Whereas now, you can go home and hey, I just had a 30-minute relaxation in a chair, and I'm feeling better. Would you try it, honey?
Right. Or many times, hopefully, they see that change. Okay, maybe I should try this thing out. And it's a benefit to the family, to the nucleus as a whole. For that. Again, if you can be 100% of yourself, why shouldn't you?
Let's go.
And it's not just necessarily for trauma-based, individuals. Feeling worn out, depleted emotionally, mentally, because you're just in the grind.
Well, even the I was talking earlier, military, and I spoke about military because instantly I'm oh, I know they have it, but guess what? Everyone else is welcome into the party. Any transitions in life, the neurology is it's all, what's going on? Where is everything? Just a transition, just a shift in life, and it can be a good shift.
Right.
And this could be needed. Okay, it was incredible having you guys on today. I think in the future, if you guys are interested, I think we got to do a part 2 in the future.
Sure, we'd love that.
I think we can talk more. Okay, before we hop off, in a moment, I'll ask you guys anything you want to share, any final thoughts, and to the audience, mainly the hyperlens is trauma, although it doesn't have to be trauma, but to that person to the listener that is curious and also fearful, would you share your message with them, Jeremiah? Rebekah, please.
Yeah, sure. So I like to say in sessions, if you hear nothing else, your brain is designed to heal. That's neuroplasticity. So just knowing, you're not stuck. We can see the stuck parts. It will reveal them. We'll also celebrate the ones that aren't stuck. And the brain is constantly changing. And so I think there's a point in my journey with a diagnosis like post-traumatic stress disorder, where you feel it's so final, it's so set in stone, and there's someone out there, I'm sorry, I don't know who, but who coined the term post-traumatic growth. And that is what's possible. And so just give hope that the brain heals. No matter how young or how old, it can heal. So that's what I'd say.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Jeremiah?
Yeah, to that, to emphasize, you're not your trauma. You're not defined by those things. There's always hope for change. The lens is a beautiful tool to use to bring about that change. And you've tried everything else, and it didn't work. You have to continue to find the tool that will work for you, because it is there. It is out there. You can find it. Don't lose heart on it. Give the lens a chance, at least. Again, the biggest piece, you don't have to do anything for it. All you have to do, show up, sit in the chair, take a deep breath. That's it.
I love it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
For the listeners, real quick, is there a Facebook page they could check out?
So,
or a website?
Yeah, so it's recalibratetn.com.
Okay, recalibratetn.com. Go ahead.
We have our social medias all there.
Okay.
That you can check out. And one of the greatest things we've done as well is created online booking and availability.
Let's go. Awesome.
Yeah. So we've moved in that, so you can look at your schedule and look at our schedule and compare the two and easily book online for that.
And that's right on recalibratetn.com.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then where are you guys located?
So we're in Franklin, Tennessee. And we're the Cool Springs area of that.
Perfect.
Easy to get to. We're right off of basically Cool Springs Boulevard.
Awesome.
And for those of you listeners who aren't in our local area, you can go to oakslabs.com, go to resources, find a provider, then you can see local lens people in your area. And there's whole states that don't yet have lens people. So maybe you have an experience and want to get trained and bring it to your state. You have options. Yeah.
Or you want to fly out here to have Rebekah facilitate it and then be a guest on the podcast.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate everyone. Make sure you like, share, and we'll see you next week for another episode of The Power and the Pain. We did it.
If this hit you deep, trust that.
Your pain has power, and your story isn't over.
Follow, share, and send this to someone who you think might benefit.
I'm Greg, and this was The Power and the Pain. Keep stepping into your power.